Hi there. I would do be kind to like and subscribe, and I trust you like my content. Today, I'm going to talk about the self-important woman. There's nothing more. There is a saying in the Bible about who can stand a odious woman, and it would go the same for a guy too, right? I mean, it's odious. Basically means repulsive. There's an old saying of old about being a turn off when a person's a turn off. They it's like, from what I can gather, if you study body language enough with people, I mean, it takes years, of course. It's something you don't really want to go about learning because there's so many more amazing things to learn about in life, right? You know, the Bible says that we're basically to be concerned and meditate. And those things are beautiful, noble, trustworthy. There's a whole bunch of it, and it said, and a good report. So you don't really want to spend your life and wasting your life trying to study the opposite end of the spectrum of darkness and people who dwell inside of it, right? Self-importance really has no place in what is we would consider a healthy world. And the truth of the matter, our world is not as healthy as we would like to believe. Self-importance sometimes comes from families where a woman would be brought up, and she would be brought up amongst her brothers and her sisters, and they all kind of have an attitude. They have a family attitude. They're basically, you know, especially if they come from if they come from a the one the family who are known down the block, and they were kind of like not as much respected as much as they were feared, right? They were known to be, well, badass, or whatever. So a woman growing up in that environment believes she's invincible. She can basically go through life. The thing is about people in social aspects of life, we've been trained to it because you see it in any given environment you walk into. The people who walk around with a whole lot of air and a certain amount of arrogance about them seem to get more attention than a person who likes to just kind of like go off on a side and do their thing, whatever. And they're probably more apt to become more likable and well known in a social aspect because people like what they're selling. People sometimes look on and go, I wish I had that kind of confidence, or I wish I could present myself in that manner, and people would be feeling kind of bowled over when I come in the environment. Because the thing is about cowardly people like, they like when people shrink. Okay. Now, somewhere along the ways in their life, and they obviously will make great enemies with them, are the ones who won't shrink, right? They confront them, they stand up to them. Unfortunately, becomes a very tiring thing to do, and who wants to waste their good energy on bad energy? So, a self important woman trackles away through life being the victim, and just because she's a woman, she gets away probably more than a guy would, and she'll probably receive more sympathy because the men of the world will always look upon a woman called the damsel in distress as being the person that you need to pay a lot of attention to. Right? Their mothers sometimes teach this to them, right? I mean, this thing swings into such a ripple effect. It's not even funny. A self-important woman is not about correction. She's not, you won't find a whole lot of decency about her. She may live a very quote unquote decent life. It may appear fine on the outside, but as you get to know her, you'll find she's very indecent the way she behaves. She's the kind of person who can show herself to be lawless and yet come across as being the most dignified woman because she's able to recover very quickly. It's like they're very good at making an excuse that they're able to let their garments down and get dressed very quickly. And at the same time saying, well, it wasn't my fault. And it's never the fault of a self-important woman. I mean, they get away with so much, uh, the repulsiveness that they operate by through their life, that guys know that, hey, look, there's no way I'm going to stand up to this. No way I'm going to say anything because I don't want to look like the bad guy in the room. And they will. This is guaranteed. They're going to have a lot of protection from the bad guys because, how can I put it? The birds of a feather flock together. People in life will never, ever protect a good natured person if they don't like those qualities of a good natured person. If they themselves are busy building a reputation, a cover, a fake report about them as to from who they really are, they can believe it enough and sell it. Very good sales at selling what they don't have. They sell they sell a very wrong picture. And this is a self-important woman. She's so arrogant enough that when your kindness is brought into the environment, she's very arrogant enough to be able to use it at will, um, make it out to be that she's doing you the favor. Okay. And if you are to ever be in a mismatch situation, whether it be you're married to her or you're renting from her or you're employed and she's your manager, you will, not that you might, you will get a chance to see how ugly and disgusting a self-important woman is. She's never wrong. She can never be wrong. But she's so wrong that the thing is about self-important women or people in general, they're going to suffer the maladies of more loneliness and victimhood than a person who doesn't need it. See, I'm all on board that the more honest you are with yourself and before God, and the more you're willing to take, even if a situation is brought up and you're willing to say, well, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was doing that, right? If they can't take those kinds of language when you're having any kind of uh, communication and it's time for correction, because they will be in the land of being repulsive, they're going to be extremely aggressive. They're going to make it bad for you when you have an interaction with them. The other thing about a self-important woman, there's a saying in the Bible that says that be careful about taking food from a jealous or a person whose heart is not right, because you'll end up vomiting up the food because their heart is not with you. The surefire thing about a self-important woman, she'll never ever be a friend, because you are basically always going to be somebody who's going to meet her needs and be a benefit to her. She doesn't know what friendship is. Her idea of friendship, okay, is to sit around with people who are just like her and shoot. And if you listen carefully to their conversations, they're all about everyone else is so bad except for them. They are the kind of people that'll be very government. They'll be against the government, and governments have their issues, but they find issues with the government. They find issues with this. They find issues with that. And they'll go as far as to put up banners around their belongings that says that they stand for a cause. The problem with them is that they are the cause of a lot of problems. They are the reason why the world, since it's one person at a time that makes up this world. There are usually a lot of reasons why in the circle of their world, they are the problem. They are the problem. They will take kindness shown to them and turn it around that you're actually employed by them, even though they didn't pay you for what you're doing. And should you ever be in a transaction with them where they're giving you some money, they will make you feel that you're getting the best bargain. When in reality, they don't even understand about the going rate. And if you're a if you're kind of a fair, easygoing, and you just kind of like to just do things because it just makes you feel good to do things in an environment where you see the next person's in your environment as a friend, they don't see you as a friend. They will treat you and they will find ways in their mixed up brain to make you a threat, okay? To make you somebody that they need to be careful of, to make you the problem, because in reality, that's who they are. They're the threat, and they're the ones who are not safe to be around. In just going on towards the tail end of what I'm talking about here, a self-important woman will never find a good man. And that's why she's going to consistently stay on the victimhood road. And should a good man come into her life, she will do everything or a lot of, or mostly enough to tear him down his credibility, to prove to herself that there's no such thing as a good man. And if you've ever heard the term gaslighting, go check it out. They will so make you doubt who you are and what you're bringing to the table. Because these people, the biggest malady I think about them, self-important women, they can't trust, they're not trustworthy, and personally, they should never ever be trusted. What they bring, it is no concern to yours. In many respects, that if you are in the desert and you're going down and you're waiting for the end of your desert experience to come to an end, you're going to see a mirage off in the distance and thinking it's a fresh oasis of water. Self-important women sell themselves as a fresh oasis. The hard truth you're going to face, they're just nothing more than a mirage. They're selling something that don't exist. They're selling, and what makes them really sad more than anything else, they're just really very poor. Very, like we're talking totally poor, poor in dignity, poor in character, poor in being able to get the brain to process information correctly. They're so incorrect that it takes something from God himself to change them around. In the meantime, I would say it's not of your concern, because the thing that you want in your life more than anything else, self-importance will never ever give you the true importance. I believe the people who concentrate on what's important will discover very quickly that are not as important as they thought they were, because self-reflection, okay, will teach you humility, and it will help you to bring always the good to the table. So thank you for listening to the video.